Hello everyone, I'm Emily and we're going to be doing a review of some watercolor paper today. Etchr was kind enough to reach out and send one of their watercolor blocks for us to test out on the channel. We're going to chat about the different aspects of the paper and then create a little painting. Some of the fun little extras are these Etchr stickers and these adorable rolls of washi tape. The measurements on the washi tape can be really helpful if you need to measure some of the lines on the artwork you have taped down. Next we have the watercolor block. I haven't taken it out of its plastic yet, but it's an 8 by 8 inch block. It's cold pressed, 50% cotton paper, 300 grams or 140 pound weight paper, and vegan friendly, which I'll get into a little bit later. So to begin with, it comes in a box. Let's go ahead and open this up. Pull this on out. The paper itself feels pretty heavy. There's 20 sheets in total. The difference between this block versus regular watercolor books is that it's glued on the sides. This is so the artist can paint directly in the block without the pages warping. Another option for this is to tape your paper down when painting. In this instance, the paper is glued on the top and the bottom. What you want to do is use your craft knife and carefully slide it down the glued edges to separate it. If you use your finger at the very beginning, you can chance ripping the paper. So it did leave a little bit of black residue on the top sheet. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. I might try to use the heat gun later to soften the glue and attempt to remove it. For now though, we're gonna flip to the second page. The second page is nice and clear though. At first touch, it's some beautiful paper texture. Out of the two options to remove it and tape it down versus leave it in paint with the top and the bottom still attached, we're gonna go with the second option and leave it in. You may be wondering what cold pressed means. There are three different kinds of watercolor paper: hot pressed, cold pressed, and rough. Hot pressed is the smoothest of the three, while cold pressed is slightly more textured. For the average artist, you're mostly going to come across the hot and cold pressed paper. When choosing between the two, it really comes down to preference. Cold pressed is a great middle ground. However, if the painting you want to create has finer details, you will most likely want the hot pressed paper. The weight of the paper plays a role as well. This block, for instance, is 300 grams or 140 pound, and it's less likely to curl when saturated. Given that it has the sides glued, that lessens the chance of warping even more. You can purchase the paper on either Amazon or their website, and the block retails for $23.99 US. Having a block that is 50% cotton makes it a high quality block, as the higher percentage of cotton, the less likely your paper is to yellow over time. It's also important that the paper is acid-free like the block is for this reason as well. I mentioned earlier that the paper is vegan. Some of you might be wondering how paper can be vegan or not. Usually when the watercolor paper is made, gelatin is added to it. In this case, gelatin is not used, making the paper vegan. If that's something that you're interested in, Etchr has a wide range of vegan art supplies. Etchr itself is essentially a fairly new company. By new, I mean that it was originally conceived as a Kickstarter about 7 years ago. However, in the beginning it was known as Nomad. In 2017, it changed its name to Etchr, and the rest is history. Their business has grown quite a bit, all while keeping the community in mind. If you'd like to learn more about Etchr as a company, you can visit their website, where they have kept a blog of their growing family since 2015. As a whole, I really enjoyed the paper. I significantly saturated the paper and it held up well. I used my heat gun in between layering colors without the glue loosening any of the pages. I used the Arteza watercolors and the paper was quite absorbent. I did have a little bleeding of my colors at the bottom of the apple, but that could be prevented next time by either drying my paint better in between colors or perhaps trying out the hot press paper, which has less texture. I hope you've enjoyed the review today. All of the information and links that you need are in the description below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll chat with you next time.